Broccoli is often referred to by a name that sounds distinctly modern. A superfood, a title that evokes images of new nutrition trends, recent scientific discoveries, or popular diet movements. Yet what many people overlook is that this vegetable is not new at all. In fact, it has accompanied humanity for more than 2,000 years. That is precisely what makes broccoli remarkable. We are looking at a very familiar food through a very new lens. It sits on supermarket shelves at a modest price. It appears in daily meals as a simple side dish. It does not have vibrant colors or a bold flavor to demand attention. And for that reason, many people rarely question its presence. Yet when we look back at the history of human diets, very few vegetables have endured so steadily across centuries. Broccoli has not only survived changes in agriculture, but has also been carried from one civilization to another. Today, modern science once again places it in a distinctive position, viewing it as one of the foods with high value for human health. The question is, what has allowed such a simple vegetable to maintain its place over such a long journey? And more importantly, why is broccoli still considered a reliable choice in the diet of modern people today? Broccoli is not a vegetable that appeared randomly in the history of human nutrition. It belongs to the cruciferous vegetable family, a group of plants that humans have relied on since early times to supplement nutrition and maintain health. Within this same family are cabbage, kale, and cauliflower. Yet broccoli carries a distinct shape and structure that make it easily recognizable and different. The most characteristic feature of broccoli lies in its unopened flower head. These are dense clusters of small, deep green buds where most of the plant's biological value is concentrated. Rather than developing fully to display color or attract insects, these flower buds are harvested early and become food. That choice is what has made broccoli a vegetable rich in nutritional potential because it contains plant tissues at their most active stage of growth. Broccoli is important not because it is rare, but because it responds very well to the basic needs of the human body. It provides abundant micronutrients while maintaining low energy density. This makes it suitable for many different groups, from children and older adults to individuals with busy lifestyles. Broccoli does not require the body to make complex adjustments to adapt. It integrates into the diet naturally, gently, and consistently. It is this balance that has allowed broccoli to remain in human meals for so long. Before modern science labeled it with new terminology, broccoli had already quietly proven its value through the way the human body responded to it across generations. To understand how this connection began, we need to travel far back into the past, where broccoli's journey first entered human life. Long before broccoli appeared in modern supermarkets, it had already been connected to human life, beginning in a region considered the cradle of many ancient civilizations. The Mediterranean region, with its mild climate and fertile land, was where humans early learned to observe, domesticate, and select foods to support long-term survival. Here, the ancestors of broccoli existed as varieties of wild cabbage growing along the coast, not visually striking but resilient enough to adapt to harsh environments. More than 2,000 years ago, humans no longer merely gathered what nature provided, they began to select. The Etruscans, an ancient civilization that once lived on the Italian peninsula, are believed to have been among the first to recognize the potential of this group of cruciferous plants. Instead of allowing the plant to develop entirely on its own, they preserved individuals with stronger stems and more developed flower clusters that were easier to eat. Over many generations, this process of selection gradually shaped the early form of what we now recognize as broccoli. By the time of ancient Rome, broccoli was no longer an anonymous vegetable. It was considered a valued food, often appearing in the meals of those with means. Romans believed this vegetable provided strength and endurance. Stories have been passed down suggesting that within the imperial household, broccoli was favored as a nourishing dish, reflecting ancient belief in its ability to sustain the body. Although such anecdotes cannot be fully verified, they reveal the distinctive place broccoli once held in ancient life. After the fall of the Roman Empire, many foods that were once common gradually disappeared. Broccoli did not. It continued to be cultivated and consumed in agricultural regions around the Mediterranean, quietly enduring through centuries. It was not until the mid-18th century that this vegetable was recorded as appearing in England, where it remained unfamiliar for a long time. The true turning point came in the early 20th century, when Italian immigrants brought broccoli to the United States. At first, it was popular only within small communities, closely associated with family meals and memories of homeland. But, from the 1920s onward, broccoli began to appear more widely, gradually becoming a familiar part of the American diet. The journey of broccoli, from the shores of the Mediterranean to the modern dining table, was not a matter of chance. It was the result of centuries of human choice, preserving and passing forward a food that their bodies had grown accustomed to and accepted. This long journey laid the foundation for the role broccoli plays in modern nutrition today. The broccoli we see today is not entirely natural in the original sense. It is the result of a long process of intervention in which humans continuously observed, selected, and preserved characteristics most aligned with their dietary needs. From wild cabbages growing along Mediterranean coasts, humans gradually realized that the same species could produce different forms and structures if patiently selected season after season. Initially, wild cruciferous plants had long stems, large leaves, and small flower clusters. The flower portion was not the focus. Over time, however, humans noticed that plants with denser, more tender, and less bitter flower clusters were easier to eat and more desirable. They began to preserve seeds from such plants. Across many generations, this repeated selection reshaped the plant's structure, causing the head to become more pronounced and eventually become the primary harvested portion. This transformation did not occur quickly. It required hundreds of years of natural experimentation, during which many unsuitable varieties were eliminated. Plants that were too bitter, too tough, or low-yielding gradually disappeared. In their place, broccoli varieties with more compact structure, firm stems, and uniform heads were preserved. This was not forced manipulation, but a quiet dialogue between humans and crops, where each growing season left its trace. As agriculture developed, particularly during the early modern and modern periods, breeding became more systematic. Humans focused not only on shape and flavor, but also on climate adaptability, harvest timing, and yield stability. Broccoli gradually became a vegetable that could be grown in many regions, no longer confined to the Mediterranean as before. It is important to recognize that this intervention did not diminish broccoli's value. On the contrary, it defined that value. The food we eat today is the result of thousands of years of intentional selection. Broccoli exists not because it is wild or untouched, but because it aligns with the human body and with the agricultural systems humans have built. From this foundation, modern science began to ask deeper questions. Once the structure of broccoli became stable, what inside it caused the human body to respond so positively? The answer lies in its nutritional components and biological compounds, which we now explore. When modern science began to analyze more deeply what lies inside broccoli, attention did not stop at counting calories or listing vitamins. More important was how the components within this vegetable interact with the human body. Broccoli has low energy density, yet concentrates many foundational nutrients, allowing even a small serving to provide meaningful biological value. One of the most notable nutrients is vitamin C. In the body, vitamin C is not only linked to the immune system as many assume. It participates in collagen formation, helping maintain the structure of skin, blood vessels, and connective tissue. At the same time, vitamin C functions as an antioxidant, assisting the body in neutralizing unstable molecules generated during daily metabolism. When broccoli delivers high levels of vitamin C while providing minimal energy, the body can receive these benefits without added metabolic burden. Another nutrient frequently mentioned in relation to broccoli is vitamin K. This micronutrient may receive less attention in typical diets, yet it plays an essential role in blood clotting and bone maintenance. Vitamin K activates proteins that bind calcium to the skeletal framework, supporting long-term bone stability. The fact that a common vegetable like broccoli contains significant vitamin K makes it an accessible natural source for many people. Beyond familiar vitamins, broccoli attracts scientific interest because of its distinctive biological compounds. Among them, sulforaphane is the most extensively studied. This compound forms when the cellular structure of broccoli is disrupted, such as when it is cut or chewed. Sulforaphane is neither a vitamin nor a mineral, but a substance capable of activating the body's natural protective mechanisms at the cellular level. Research suggests it is involved in pathways that help the body process waste and reduce the impact of oxidative stress, factors closely linked to aging and cellular damage. In addition, broccoli contains camphorol, a compound belonging to the flavonoid group. Such compounds often play roles in regulating inflammatory responses in the body. Rather than producing immediate dramatic effects, they work quietly to help keep biological reactions balanced. This is why broccoli does not create noticeable changes right after consumption, yet is valued for long-term influence. Fiber must also be acknowledged as a familiar but crucial component. The fiber in broccoli supports digestive function and influences how the body absorbs and utilizes other nutrients. When the digestive system functions steadily, overall energy and micronutrient metabolism become more efficient. This is one reason broccoli frequently appears in dietary patterns designed for long-term health maintenance rather than short-term goals. Notably, no single nutrient in broccoli works alone. Its value lies in the harmonious combination of vitamins, biological compounds, and fiber, forming a mutually supportive system. Instead of producing a powerful effect at one point, broccoli influences the body through multiple subtle yet persistent pathways. This pattern of influence opens the door to very practical daily benefits. The way we prepare broccoli significantly affects the value the body receives from it. Although rich in nutrients, broccoli is relatively sensitive to high heat and prolonged cooking. When overcooked, many beneficial biological compounds may decline, especially those activated when cellular structure remains relatively intact. Among common methods, light steaming is often considered the most balanced option. This approach softens the vegetable enough to make it easy to eat while preserving much of its internal value. Cutting broccoli into smaller pieces before cooking and allowing it to rest for a few minutes can also help natural reactions occur more effectively when consumed. Compared with prolonged boiling or high-temperature stir-frying, gentler methods allow the body to benefit more fully from what broccoli offers. Beyond preparation, portion size also deserves attention. Broccoli suits most people, but consuming excessive amounts at once may cause bloating or digestive discomfort, particularly for individuals with sensitive digestive systems. Incorporating broccoli into meals regularly in moderate portions typically yields better outcomes than concentrating intake heavily over a short period. When used appropriately, broccoli is not an elaborate dish, but a flexible element that blends easily into daily life. We look back at the entire journey of broccoli, from wild coastal plants in the Mediterranean to its familiar presence on today's dining tables. Its value does not lie in glamour. Broccoli does not need to be promoted as a new trend to prove its role. It endures because the human body has adapted well to it across generations. In an era where foods are constantly rebranded and amplified with appealing promises, broccoli represents a different approach, quiet, steady, and grounded in solid biological foundations. Its value is shaped by the combination of long history, human selection, and recognition by modern science. Perhaps the greatest meaning of broccoli is not that it is labeled healthy, but that it reminds us simple choices, maintained long enough, create lasting impact. If you look at your meal today, you may see that broccoli is not merely a vegetable, but part of a much longer story.